It was a dark and stormy night, the rain pouring down in torrents as I drove down the lonely highway. I had heard rumors of a shortcut that could save me hours on my journey, and against my better judgment, I decided to take it. The road twisted and turned through a dense forest, the trees looming overhead like silent sentinels. The only source of light was the dim glow of my headlights cutting through the fog. As I drove deeper into the forest, an eerie feeling settled in the pit of my stomach as if I was being watched by unseen eyes. My GPS seemed to have lost its signal, leaving me utterly reliant on the winding road before me. The rain continued to lash against my windshield, creating an almost hypnotic rhythm. Just when I thought the tension couldn't get any worse, I saw a figure standing by the side of the road up ahead. I slowed down, heart pounding in my chest, and squinted through the rain-soaked glass. It was a woman, drenched and disheveled, her pale face barely visible in the dim light. She looked lost and terrified. Against my instincts, I stopped the car and rolled down the window. "Are you okay?" I shouted over the rain, my voice quivering. She didn't answer immediately, just stared at me with hollow eyes. Then, in a hushed voice, she begged me to give her a ride. She said her car had broken down a few miles back and that she was stranded alone in the woods. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to drive away, to leave this eerie stranger behind. But guilt and compassion won over, and I unlocked the passenger door. She got in without a word, her wet clothes leaving a damp mark on the seat. As we drove on in silence, my unease grew. Her presence was suffocating, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was horribly wrong. Glancing at her, I noticed that her clothes seemed oddly out of date, and her skin had a sickly, unnatural pallor. Suddenly, she turned to me, her eyes now devoid of any humanity, and let out a chilling, high-pitched laugh. Before I could react, her fingers elongated into sharp, gnarled claws, and she lunged at me. I swerved the car, narrowly avoiding her attack, and crashed into a tree. Dazed and injured, I struggled to escape the wreckage as she crawled out, her bones cracking and reshaping. In the pouring rain, I sprinted through the woods, her unearthly screams echoing behind me. Hours later, I stumbled upon a gas station and they called for help. The police arrived and scoured the area, but there was no sign of the woman. They dismissed my story as shock-induced hallucinations, blaming the accident on the weather. But as I lay in the hospital bed, I knew what I had seen was all too real. To this day, I avoid that desolate detour and its haunted forest, haunted by the memory of that rain-soaked night and the horrors that lurk within.